What is up, everyone? My name is Sean. Welcome to Lift and Coast. I am excited to talk to you about the Chinese Grand Prix and all the recent ongoings in Formula One throughout the week. It's been kind of a nutty week for me personally, of course, but also for Formula One. So I'm excited to be coming to you, though it is a little tardy. My apologies. Andre Kimi Antonelli, the first Italian GP winner in a very long time. He raced absolutely wonderfully. It's hard not to like this guy. For anybody who's followed his story just a little bit, it's pretty cool. Kimi skipped F2 completely, went straight from F3, and then F3 was 2024. Then he skipped F2, went straight to F1 for 2025. And his season last year was a bit up and down, but so was Mercedes. But one of the things that we've talked about and that has become clear, especially with young drivers, is they need confidence. And that sounds easy enough or simple enough, but the issue is when you start pushing the car to the limits, your likelihood of mistakes increases exponentially. And then if you do make a mistake, right, if you cross over the limits of what the car can do and you put it in the wall, your confidence gets destroyed and you kind of have to build it back up again. So going into round one in Australia, Kimi puts it in the wall kind of at the worst time possible. Outside of quality or a race crash, the worst time possible to crash your car is free practice 3 because you have like 2 hours before qualifying starts. Brand new car, brand new series in terms of the formula itself has completely changed for 26. So you're asking your mechanics to put the car back together in a very short period of time, and they have kind of the least reps doing that. And Mercedes, to their credit, brilliant men and women that work there. They put the car back together. That was awesome. Kimi went out. He got a P2 in Australia. Perfect. He did what he was supposed to do. So this week, fast forward, he has a good sprint race. Coming into qualifying, he looked pretty good. He was right about on pace with George Russell. And the Mercedes have, especially in qualifying, they have everywhere, they have a fair advantage. Okay, Mercedes is the dominant car. Well, in quali, in China, for the main race, Q3, the last, the running order will be set with the qualification order of Q3. George can't get out. The car has problems and they are working on George's car, and George only gets one opportunity in Q3. So George puts it on P2, he puts it in second place, and Kimi did what he was supposed to do. He took pole. George should not have been able to, out-qualify Kimi, only getting the one run, especially with the distractions. Can you imagine you're sitting in your car, it's in a million pieces, you're looking at your screens, you're waiting to be told, all right, go out there and do the fastest lap you can. And your car's in parts and pieces and there's 10 people around you working on it. It's not an admirable position for anybody, but Prince George is awesome at that kind of stuff. He's able to compartmentalize very well, and he goes out and he does a great job in quali, but Kimi beat him. Kimi out-qualified him. So it was great. So Kimi is in P1, starting from the front, and when the race starts, Kimi has a choice. He can defend the inside, or he can kind of defend the Ferraris that look like they're making their move to the outside. He starts off defending the inside, and he probably defended the inside a little more than you would expect you should, and he let one of the Ferraris around him. But what he did is he kept George behind him. And that's really the key to the whole race, okay? Kimi, if he wants to win races, he's going to have to beat George. And so he stayed in front of the other Mercedes and shuffled everybody back. Then he eventually made the clean overtake past the Ferraris and off to the win. He won by leaps and bounds. There's a definitive advantage for the Mercedes. So Kimi did a great job. I thought for his first race win, it was, yes, the Mercedes has a massive advantage, but just remember, it's incredibly stressful and there's a lot going on through your mind. In fact, as Kimi approached the final laps of the race, he actually had a big lockup, I think with a couple laps left to go, 3 laps left to go. And so that's easy to do, right? You're in your own head at that point. You know you've got a gap that no one else can catch you. You're lifting and coasting through certain corners. You're driving the car in an easy way so that you could just bring it home. And he has this huge lockup. It scared himself. He ran really deep. He maintained the lead because he had a giant advantage, but he raced really, really well. He beat his teammate. He beat both Ferraris. He did a good job. He gets up on the podium, and this is where I want to give him maximum credit. Everybody's different. Everybody thinks differently about expressing emotion. And Kimi cried. it's his first race win. And man, I just want to give him, I know he'll probably never see this, but Kimi, you get full marks for the grown man appropriate public cry. Like, far be it from me to decide what's appropriate and what's not, but that's exactly what I'm doing. You can't do the ugly face cry when you're in public like that. You can't, your face can't contort and you can't let that out. And Kimi didn't. Kimi, like, tears coming down, and he just wipes his face. And he's like, yeah, it was an exciting day. I can't believe I won. I don't know what to say. And I just thought, man, that is the best crying face you're ever going to see. He raced like a young man should. And, again, not that I'm the authority on these things, but I thought, there are going to be people that make fun of him for crying. I think that's ridiculous. If he made a goofy face while he was crying, I would be one of those ridiculous people making fun, but he didn't. He cried like a champ. And so it was really good to see. It was just fun to see that guy. He's put a lot of work in, and they all do. They all go through tons of ups and downs. And in this sport, it's not, I don't want to put anybody on a pedestal or pretend that like one sport's better than another sport, but there's only 22 drivers. And so if they behave badly, we hear about it. If they make mistakes, it's seen, it's noticed. And in Formula One, you have some pretty good dudes. Now, they're not all that way. I'm not saying they would be a great husband or boyfriend or partner. I'm not saying they would be the best son or brother. I don't know. But they seem to behave, like, Kimi seems like a genuinely good guy, and he seems pretty authentic. And so I admire that, and I respect that, and I hope he's able to maintain a certain amount of that authenticity as he ages and goes through the sport, because being in the public eye like that, I can only imagine, will wear you down. And we've seen it happen time and time again to other drivers. And so that's why I have so much respect for like people like Lewis. I have respect for Kimi. I have respect for these guys. There's certain things that are private they don't want everybody to know about. That's allowed. And, but they're good guys. They don't, we had Mazepin a few years ago who did some pretty boneheaded things, put them on Instagram. I'm not going to rehash it, but like, I'm surprised that doesn't happen all the time. And it's pretty telling. The Formula One guys, the Formula One drivers, I think, by and large, I think they're pretty good dudes. They're pretty work focused and they do a good job. It was just fun to see Kimi. Sorry for getting on a little bit of a rant there, but I thought it was really cool. Best crying face ever. He did a great job in the race and a great job after the race. Now, Mercedes has an advantage. They have a distinct advantage over Ferrari, and we're going to come to that a little bit later. I think it's really important that Mercedes, if they want to walk away with this title, if you're a Mercedes fan, it's really important that they don't win by too much, right? Because we'll talk about it later, but the more they beat other teams by, the more opportunities they will give those other teams to make upgrades. And so if they can control that, they want to control that. Also, I think the Mercedes power unit, it has more in it, but I do think there's reliability concerns. I think they're concerned about reliability. And so they're not running the car, I don't think, to its maximum. But they're doing a great job. It's important that they keep winning. Now, on to Ferrari. This is really the showstopper, okay? They put on a show, did Lewis and Charles. Unbelievable. Jack Leclerc, Charles Leclerc, Charles Leclerc. He looked fantastic, and he battled with Lewis. And then Sir Lewis just looked like Sir Lewis circa 2017, like he was on one. Now, before we go too far, we need to remember, this is a bit of a bogey track for Charles, okay? I'm on record as saying I love Lewis Hamilton. I want to see him get number 8, 9, more than I want to see anything else in the sport. Okay, I'm fans of lots of drivers though. Also, I'm a fan of telling the truth, using these little details called facts. And I just don't think there's any way that Lewis is going to beat the guy on the other side of the garage over the course of a season. Okay, I also know Lewis Hamilton has made an entire life of proving goofballs like me wrong. And so I would love to be wrong in this scenario. I really like Charles. I really like Lewis. I'm married to the president of the Team LH fan club. And so I want him to do well too. I just don't think he's got what it takes to beat Charles over the course of a season. But on this day, at this track, he absolutely had what it took. He raced so well. He outqualified Charles by the slightest of margins, by like hundredths of a second, which is hard to do. And then he had a fierce battle between the two of them. They were going back and forth. I think it started like in earnest. It was around lap 25, 26. Like they were really slicing and dicing. And it's cool because the battery power usage, like it translates into overtakes in different spots. And it was fun to see them diving into turn one, and one taking a tight line, another one taking, a little bit more of a geometric line, and then them passing each other. They kept it clean. I think they did touch at one point, but they raced incredibly well. And Lewis looked really, really good. At one point, Charles had a lead. He finally got around Lewis, and it looked like he had him. And then he led for like 5 or 6 laps, and then Charles made a mistake down into the hairpin. After the big, long back straight, you make that hairpin, then you have a little straight before you go to the left onto the main pit straight. And so there's like 3 straights in a row separated by this one little, hairpin and little turn, the 90-degree turn. And so Charles locked up into the hairpin, and Lewis made him pay immediately. He was rewarded with overtake mode. So when you have boost, you can use your boost button to deploy extra power as you wish around the lap. To defend, to attack, you can deploy. But if you're within a second of the car in front, your boost button is stronger and it lasts longer, right? That's kind of the reason why you want it. It allows you to recover more energy more quickly. It allows you to use more energy, allows you to use it for longer. So there's a ramp down at 180 miles an hour or so. If you're using the boost button, your car tapers down and the speed comes down, and you can only deploy so much boost. If you're in overtake mode, meaning you were within a second of the car in front, the whole next lap, you get boost mode and you get the boost button in overtake mode, which doesn't ramp you down until like 209 miles per hour. So it's much stronger, basically, if you're within a second of the car. So Charles makes the mistake, Lewis closes the gap, and he passes him, never to be passed again. He raced excellently. There's absolutely nothing you can say about Lewis except just like you're in awe. I mean, the guy's doing incredible work. He's over 40 years old. He's, I couldn't imagine being out there at my age doing half of the things Lewis is doing. So it's really, really cool to see him win. And I think all you need to know when it comes to like, who's the big dog at Ferrari? Who's really the one that's dominant? I think Charles has all the respect in the world for Lewis, but just Charles's positive vibes after the race. He said, Lewis outperformed me today. He deserved the win. It was very fun out there. I think those are all things that you say, especially when you're beaten. You say those things knowing that it is a one-off. You're gonna probably get the best of that matchup. So again, Charles could be wrong. I could be wrong. Lewis may beat Charles all season long and finish P3 in the championship instead of P4. Unfortunately, I think that's what Ferrari's fighting for, is P3 and P4 at the moment. Now, a couple of things off the heels of that. I think this has to be said. They cannot fire Fred Vasseur. They can't do it. Mr. Elkann, please don't fire Fred. Don't fire anybody. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep working on it. Let them pitch their way out of trouble. Like, just because they gave up a couple of hits doesn't mean they're done for the day. It's the 3rd inning. This is only the 4th year of Fred Vasseur being the team boss, right? 4th year, 3rd year. You can't fire people every 3 years and expect your organization to succeed. If he was making negligent errors, if he was grossly dropping the ball in different ways, like, okay, fine, then you got to replace him. But everybody goes through ups and downs, and you don't immediately become the best. It takes time. Ferrari hasn't won a driver's title since 2007. And let's be fair. If McLaren just picked a horse that year, Fernando or Lewis, McLaren would have won the title. The guy who did, Kimi Räikkönen, he's never been known for his consistency. Yet in 07, he was Mr. Consistent. That was a one-off. You guys haven't won a title in forever. Really haven't been dominant since the Schumi years. Don't fire people all the time. Give them a chance, especially Fred. He's got the ability to bring different personalities together to create a workplace people want to be in. You just have to give it some time. Don't fire people. You're not going to be successful. If you want to continue to be the joke, then be the joke and fire away. But if you want to win, sacrifice the immediate hope and copium that comes along with firing everybody and, this will be the change that changes everything. Just hold on, wait a minute, plug your ears, blah, 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 and just move forward and let Fred do his thing. I think they're on the right path. I think everybody in Maranello feels that way. Certainly, there is work that needs to be done on the power unit. There is. Mercedes did a better job than you guys. Shocking. They did a better job than everyone. The most brilliant minds in the world, when it comes to building race car engines, are working, many of them are working in Formula One, especially with this hybridized system with 50-50 power, 53-47 combustion versus electric. You have the stiffest competition that exists, and you're right there at the front with the best team. Give it some time, keep working on it. I think that's the thing that would scare Mercedes the most. If you said, we're going to keep everybody the same, we might add some more staff, we might change some positions, but we're not firing anybody, we're going to keep coming after you. I think that would be the most, if you could ask Toto, to be honest, if you gave him truth serum, I think he'd tell you that's the thing, if anything worries him, that would be the thing that worries him the most. Because the longer you keep knocking on that door, you're eventually going to knock it down. So keep it up. Don't fire Fred. Please don't fire Fred. Now, there are qualifying quirks, and we might touch on this a little bit later. The racing was awesome. I mean, cars passing each other all the way up and down the field. It's cool. It's just like, where do they want to point the camera? Because wherever they point it, we're going to see excellent racing somewhere on the track at any given time. Is it a little bit of a mirage when you see a car pass another car? Sometimes, because they use their battery power to get around them, and then the car behind has such a distinct advantage, they're going to maybe pass them back. But it doesn't always happen, and you don't know when the final overtake is going to be the final overtake. Sometimes they switch positions 10 times. Sometimes they switch positions the 11th time. You don't know. So it's exciting to watch. Hardcore old school fans are watching the TV grinning, and then they're coming on their podcast, or they're writing their articles, or they're talking around the water cooler, and they're complaining about how fake it is, but they're sitting there in front of the TV. It's box office, so it's fun to watch. However, qualifying, which historically I think is the thing F1 has done the best, qualifying is a bit weird. Okay, qualifying is a bit weird, and what I mean by that is the faster driver might not qualify in front of the slower driver. That sounds weird, but that's the way it works. So if you lift in a certain spot on the track that makes no sense to lift, like you're going into a corner you don't need to lift for, but you choose to anyway, you will harvest a little more electricity. So you'll cost yourself, say, 1/10.5 going into that corner. So now you're slower than your teammate or across the lap. But then when you get to the next subsequent straight, you're able to hit the boost button for longer, which means you gain 0.3. So you come out 1/10.5 to the good. It's like, that's weird. That's weird. It's weird. I can only imagine how weird that must be, driving a car going, okay, I can go faster here, but I'm intentionally going to slow down so that I can harvest. And then when I get to this other part that's just a straight line, I'm just going to be able to hold this button longer and go faster. Like, yes, we need to work on that. That's strange. That's very strange. And I normally, most fans that I know and most people that are involved in racing, they look at like two pieces of criteria when comparing teammates. Right? They look at a lot of things, but they look at two pieces of criteria. It's head-to-head points finishes in a course over the course of a season, and then it's head-to-head quality competition. Who out-qualifies who? Those two data points will usually tell you who the faster driver is. And you can argue with them all you want, but again, they're just a little detail called facts that are leading you to that conclusion. So right now, we have a situation where I fear that the faster driver may not always be out qualifying. So in my mind, I'm putting a little bit of an asterisk by 2026 quali for now. We're only 2 races in. There's going to be some changes. There's going to be some development. We're going to see how this goes. But I am a little concerned that like the faster driver may not out qualify the slower driver in 2026, just because of the way the battery power works. Now, we'll see. We'll see. And maybe the faster drivers will develop, but it's very strange when you hear the guys talk about when to lift, why they lift. If you look at the throttle traces, Jolyn Palmer did, you can always go on F1 and watch his analysis. He does a really, really good job. Lower lap time. What is his name? I'm so sorry. I forget your name. Lower lap time. It'll come to me. He's great. He's a driver coach and he does a fantastic job, and he shows throttle trace. That dude, just his computer skills, like you'll be watching and he produces the show. It's such he's so much better at this. So go watch his channel. It's a bit dense in terms of the content, but he's able to show you like really clearly there's some weird stuff happening in quality. Now, when it comes to the race, we're seeing racing, and we're seeing excellent racing. So quali is not quite as exciting. I think that used to be the front door for new fans. It certainly was for my family. I was able to show them, like, the missus hasn't missed a qualifying session since Singapore 2018. I was able to talk her into watching Lewis's lap, that crazy, his first run in Q3 at Singapore, 27 turns, crazy looking track. And he gets out of the car and he's like, how did I do that? So like that qualifying became the front door for her to watch. And I think a lot of people are that way. And the only reason I bring that back up is because I think qualifying's kind of lost a little bit of its luster. But the good news is the races are awesome. So just have new fans watch the race with you if you're trying to get your spouse or partner into watching it. It was great. So Mercedes looks good. They have a distinct advantage. They won by a minute, like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds. They dominated the race. They were uncatchable, essentially. Then you had the Ferraris, very good. The McLarens, both of them, DNS, did not start. They both had unrelated electrical problems with the power unit. Their power unit provider is HPP, High Performance Powertrains in Brixworth. And Mercedes builds the power units for them, for Alpine, for Williams, and for the Mercedes factory team. McLaren, my tinfoil hat has been on all week as a McLaren fan. It's like they complained pretty vocally about the fact that Mercedes is using the same engine as us, but yet they're able to get so much more speed. We didn't realize they were going to just give us an engine and not tell us how to use it. You know, that's the things they've been saying. All of a sudden, they were very vocal. All of a sudden, both of their cars, they did quali. They ran in practice. They ran in Bahrain. They've done everything that has needed to be done. They've never shown any reliability issues. And before this race, the next race after the loud vocal complaints, neither car makes it to the grid. Now, I know that's probably not the case exactly, but something happened, and Lando's electrical problem was different than Oscar's electrical problem, and neither car was able to race. I think we can all agree that if we're going to have 22 cars on the track, which is a good thing, we want to see them compete. I understand it is a new reg set. I understand reliability, unreliability is a new thing back in Formula One again. It used to always be there. Now it's been gone for a number of years. Now it's back. But it's just weird when it happens to the same team that was highly critical of their power unit provider the week leading up to the race. They had no problems until they got to the grid, and then neither car worked. So anyway, neither McLaren started. That's tough. And nobody feels sorry for McLaren. They just won 2 constructors titles on the bounce. Lando won last year. No one cares. There's no tears for McLaren. They need to get it sorted out. They need to send a gift basket to Toto or something and say their apologies. Like, hey, we'll be okay with second place if you just teach our car how to work. So there's a bunch that goes into that. Machine learning. It's strange. Anyway, so they didn't start. That was a bit of a bummer. But when you get away from the top 4, number 5, Oliver Bearman. That dude is fast. Like, I know that's not a profound statement necessarily, but Ollie is on one. I mean, he finished P5. His teammate Esteban Ocon finished P14. Listen, Esteban's a scalp. That is a scalp. Like, if you beat Esteban Ocon, that, especially your second year, I know he beat him last year too, but like, there was a lot of circumstances and things that happened, but like, he definitively looks faster than Ocon. It's only been 2 races. I get it. Ollie looks good. He looks really good. I mean, he was almost taken out. Hedjar locked up, went flying across the track backwards. Bearman had to jump way out on the runoff, lost several positions, comes back, comes up with a 5th. Essentially best of the rest, kind of, right? Like, I don't know what we're calling the rest, because the Ferraris are the rest too right now, right? But there's the Mercedes, there's the Ferraris, and then this week, and then there's a gigantic gap back to the rest of the cars. So, yeah, it was wild. Oliver Bearman, really, really good. I mean, I'm just thinking about Daniel Ricciardo. He left in a crazy move, right? It was silly season. He leaves Red Bull and goes to Renault, and he's going to be their lead driver. He beats Nico Hülkenberg head to head their first year, and that was interesting because Nico had never lost to a teammate at Renault. He had always beaten his teammate, and Danny Rick got some first driver special treatment for sure that year, but he beat him. He beat Nico. Essentially, he retired Nico for the first time. Nico left the sport after that. He's back now, but Danny Rick won. Then his second season, Esteban Ocon comes into Formula One after being out for one season. He comes back and Danny Rick beats Esteban, but barely. If you go back and look at that season, they're head to head. Like, Esteban is coming the whole season. He's catching up with Danny Rick. And he's qualifying closer. He's performing better in the races. And he almost beat Danny Ricciardo. I have every confidence that if they raced again one more year, the results would be very in Esteban's favor. So then Danny Rick leaves, goes to McLaren. Lando, steps on his throat, metaphorically, and he sends him packing. For all intents and purposes, Lando retired Danny Rick. But before he did that, all I'm saying is Danny Ricciardo beat Esteban Ocon. That was considered a big time win. Esteban's fast. He's very fast. He just has this, there's a weird thing with him, and we can get into this a different day, but Esteban goes anonymous every year for several races. I'm not sure what that's all about, but you can almost set your watch by it. I could show you with statistics and again, little details, but his speed's never in question. He's very, very fast. He is getting worked right now by Oliver Behrman. Behrman is racing better. He's making better decisions. So that's cool to see. Good for you, Ollie. That's going to put some pressure on the big team to decide who they want to drive their car. So if Lewis or Charles decide they want to change teams, or if something goes weird in negotiations, like, Behrman's going to be a guy. So he's racing really well. It's been 2 races. Again, he's only got 1 season and 2 races under his belt. We'll see. But he looks really good. Gasly had a wonderful race. And here's the thing. The brilliant men and women at Instone, they know how to build a race car. They have been under-resourced, under-supported, misled, mismanaged. It's been such a soup sandwich at the Renault team Alpine, right? And so finally, they have a power unit that is really good, solid, dependable. They know what they're going to get. As far as dependability goes right now, it's as dependable as anybody else. They're doing a great job with their car. And Gasly, he has total domain awareness. He knows that team believes in him. And that team believes that whatever Pierre does, he's doing to try to win and to try to finish as high up the order as he can. The team knows that. Pierre knows that team is doing everything they can to make his car fast. There's no stone unturned. They know they're looking for every opportunity they can to make their car faster. And seeing that relationship just develop into what it has become, you have a French driver at a French team. You have this boss who a lot of people don't, love, but it's remarkable. I mean, this is the best Alpine team we've ever seen, I think. And I know that's a big statement, but yeah, I love watching Pierre Gasly race right now. He has the whole thing under control. He's busting it. The team is busting it on his behalf. He's there for them. They're there for him. I just think they're racing really, really good. And I think Colapinto will continue to improve because he's a good driver. You don't have to like him, whatever. You can decide whatever you want to decide. But he's a good driver and he deserves to be there. It's just Gasly's really good and he has a ton of experience now. So he's in his prime. Very experienced. His team is they have the least circumstantial problems working against them that they've ever had. And so I love what's going on there at Alpine for Gasly. It's great. Liam Lawson, he raced really good this weekend. Not everybody loves Liam. I get it. Not everybody's a huge Liam fan. It's easy to kind of, I don't know, something about his countenance, something about his demeanor. I don't know, something there's not much love for Liam. But he raced really, really well this weekend. And when you watch his onboards and just see how smooth he was, he performed admirably. So very, very cool. So those are some of the notable standouts. Max and Red Bull are in there. There's issues. Houston, we have a problem. In Milton Keynes, we have a problem. There's not just the power unit. There's issues with the car. Hadjar finished and was able to consolidate, I think, in 8th, which is not good enough for Red Bull, but it's not Hadjar's fault. Hadjar didn't, it's not on him. Max's car they had to stop it. He DNF'd. He did not finish. His car was going to blow up. He had to retire the car before the end of the race. So normally, I don't know how it always goes, but normally Laurent Mekies, the team principal, has media obligations on Sunday after the race, and he meets with the written media, the digital media. He meets with everybody and kind of gives his little debrief. He did not show for that. Max has a private jet. Shocking, I know. His private jet is big. It's like a 737, or it's just huge. I'm sure it's way nicer than a Southwest plane on the inside, but it's really cool. And he's got a big plane. So he put the team boss, Laurent Mekies, the head of Aero, which is Pierre Vacher. He's like the technical guru. He took the place of Adrian Newey, I guess. You had both of them. You had GP, who GP's not just Max's race engineer. He has a senior leadership role at the F1 team itself, but he just talks on the radio to Max still, because that comfort zone has been built over a number of years. And so GP got on the plane. I mean, they all flew back to Milton Keynes immediately after the race to work on the problem. They're not waiting till Monday morning. They're trying to get to work on the problem now. And so hopefully they can get that turned around, because it's weird seeing Red Bull be so bad. I'm not a diehard Red Bull fan, but they're a great race team. So to see them struggling this much, it's a bummer. I hope they get it turned around, because I want to see them dicing it up with all these other guys. Not having Red Bull and McLaren in the mix has been interesting, because we're seeing some other teams, but it also is weird. It doesn't feel like Formula One without those teams operating, in like a consistently good way. So for different reasons, they both have struggled. So we'll see if Red Bull can get that turned around. I still don't think Max will leave. I don't. I'm willing to be wrong on this. I don't think Max is going to leave Red Bull. If he leaves the sport, he may leave the sport totally. But I don't think he's going to race for another team. So all the people saying he may go to Mercedes, I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. I don't think he'll leave. Max has got everything there that he could ever want in a team, and he has a good team. And we're seeing all up and down the grid really great teams that aren't winning. Like, there's one team that has a massive advantage right now. And so I don't think he's going to switch just to go over there and drive. I think he wants to do it at Red Bull, and we'll see how that goes. Williams is massively overweight. Their car is massively, some people released some spy shots, I guess, of the weight of the weighbridge. The Williams is heavy, and we knew that, right? It's heavy. Sainz raced out of his mind this weekend. The whole weekend, Sainz performed to the absolute maximum what that car could do. He raced, to say he raced admirably is just a massive understatement. Sainz performed out of his mind this weekend, and he was rewarded with a P9. That's not good enough. If Williams wants to keep him, they need to figure out what's going on with their car. They need to get the stuff fixed. Like, this isn't a Mercedes power unit thing. This is a car thing. Like, they need to get the car fixed. If they have the car operating optimally, they would be ahead of where Gasly is I believe, as far as their power unit. I think they would be at worst right there with Alpine and McLaren. They should all three be fighting kind of at the same spot. So Sainz, good for him to get a P9 to get some points. That's going to matter. But he raced way too hard and way too good to come out with a P9. Dorilton Capital, the owner of Williams, again, cannot fire James Vowles. He has done nothing but improve the team year on year. This is a new regulation set. There are a lot of variables. The last thing you want to do is fire this guy. Again, if you want to keep Sainz, you got to make improvements. But if you fire James Vowles, you're not going to keep many people at all. You're going to go back to the doldrums. Don't fire James Vowles. Let him work on it. Now, if we're saying the same thing in 3 years, okay, that's different. But like, he's been making steady improvements, and you see the car getting better. It's like Ferrari. They're constantly in the top three. I know you want to do better than that, but you're already really, really close. Just keep working at it. Williams is totally different. They were at the bottom, at the back, off the back of the grid. They fought their way back. They just need to work on some of the things they have going on. Dorilton, please don't fire James. Just let him continue to work on the problem, and I think they will do that. Audi had a decent weekend. One of their cars didn't work, of course. That's not abnormal right now. But they had a decent weekend, and Hülkenberg finished P11. He was flattered by the reliability issues on the other teams, right, that we've already talked about. But he did get a P11, and he beat an RB, and he beat a Haas, in addition to, of course, beating the Astons. So that's good. Like, that's good progress for Audi, I think, for the Sauber Audi team. I know it's just Audi now, but like that team is making progress. And I think if you beat those other teams consistently, I think that's a good sign. However, and this news is so strange, Jonathan Wheatley, the team principal at Audi, is leaving. He is going to Aston Martin. So that is not as necessarily as bad as it sounds, but it ain't good, right? Wheatley leaving is not great. So Mattia Binotto is actually the boss there, right? He's the CEO, the head honcho. He's the highest level decision maker at the F1 team. But he did hire Jonathan Wheatley to be the team principal, to handle the communication issues, to lead the race team, to coordinate things between the factory and the race team, to negotiate with drivers, to do different things. Like Jonathan Wheatley has a really important job, and it's because he does an excellent job at everything he does. And so losing him is not great if he left because there's a problem, right? If Audi has VW related issues, like Volkswagen Group, like it's an automotive company. They're run by a big board. They're funding this whole thing. Boards change their mind. Goals change for in the automotive industry. Like there's, it's all over the place. There's road car challenges they're dealing with. Like they just decided to stop making certain electric cars because they didn't sell well. Well, that's a bummer if you bought one of those. They're just not going to make it anymore. They make big decisions, big changes. And so is something like that affecting the F1 team? And that's why Wheatley left? Was there a communication challenge between Mattia and Wheatley? I don't think that's the case. I think Mattia is the reason why Wheatley went there to begin with. And nobody's saying any of these things. Nobody is claiming that's the problem. What apparently happened is Aston Martin just brought a big old bag. They backed up the Brinks truck right to the front door of Mr. Wheatley in Switzerland and said, hey, why don't you move back to the UK, to Motorsport Valley, where you're used to living, and why don't you, because Audi's headquarters is in Switzerland. So that's one thing that makes that team a little different, is they're not located in the heart of the UK where motorsport is kind of the biggest thing. And so it can be hard to attract talent there's universities that feed into these F1 companies that allow them to grow and flourish. Like you graduate these certain universities and you either go into aerospace, you go into defense, or you go into F1. And so if you want the best talent, you have to lure these amazing students from these universities and bring them onto your F1 teams. Well, they're all located in the same kind of 30-mile radius. And so it's like being in country music and living in Nashville back in the day. Like it just doesn't, you can eventually make it and go live anywhere. You can break through and live anywhere, but you're going to spend a fair amount of time in Nashville. If you want to be in Hollywood, you're going to spend a fair amount of time in LA. It's just what it is. And so it's weird that Sauber is in Switzerland. So it's just, they're further away, and it costs more to live there. There's upsides and downsides to moving, but it's not home for many of the recruits that they're trying to lure onto their team. Jonathan Wheatley is the example we're talking about right now. And so Wheatley is going back to Aston. I think it's a financially driven decision from everything I can tell. Look, good for him. He has a family. He has one life to live. He doesn't owe anybody anything. He owes them a hard day's work that he was contractually obligated to provide, and they owe him a paycheck. Outside of that, that is all that he's owed. That's all that he owes them. If somebody else comes along and wants to snipe him and take away his services because they are going to provide more income or whatever, he's fully capable of taking that. It's completely appropriate in my mind that he took that. It's just weird because he's been very positive. He's been very vocal. He communicated no issues, no challenges. So it's just, until he comes out and says, yeah, they just offered me a giant bag, I couldn't say no. I think we'll all kind of wonder, and we'll see how they replace him. There's no immediate candidates. You can go to therace.com. Don't forget the hyphen. Scott Mitchell-Mam wrote an article on it. It's really good. It kind of just summarizes what I just said there in much more articulate detail. Aston is desperate. Aston Martin is desperate, and for the first time, I get it. I totally get it. Like Aston, it's such a bummer because people have so much hate for the Strolls, and I understand where that comes from. But like, if you just take that out of it, and I tell you, Aston Martin's coming to the F1 grid, that's awesome. That's a good thing. That it'd be like if BMW came to the grid, or if, I don't know. It's in that respect, it's a good thing. But yeah, there's just a ton of hate, and I understand where some of that comes from. And part of the reason there is hate for the whole Stroll thing is related to nepotism and all that stuff, but also they chase like the shiny new thing all the time. Like, oh, new factory, new wind tunnel, Adrian Newey, James, they go after every big name. They go after every big tool, toy, resource that they can. They overpay, it feels like, for everything. And then they amass this all-star team of people that they don't have certain fundamentals right. And so I get that. But right now they are desperate, and I understand the desperation. They have real issues with Honda. Why that wasn't something that was not an unforeseen circumstance, right? Like, that's Jonathan Noble talked about this. Like, it's or maybe it was Mark Hughes, but it said, like, it's one thing when there's unforeseen challenges, but like, these were foreseen challenges. So there are certain things at Aston that they should have known would happen, but we're past that. The car can't drive and complete a race. They need to fix it. And so hiring Wheatley to run the team, letting Adrian Newey focus on technical development, and then having other people, teamed up with Honda and trying to get all this together is important. This is definitely not good. It's not good. Like, the team's it should be worth much more than it used to be because of all the resources they've put into it. But in terms of their on-track performance, the team has gone backwards in value each of the last 4 years. Like, they've just taken steps back. So they have to stop the bleeding. Part of that means stop firing and repositioning and reassigning duties. Stop hiring the next biggest, greatest, latest thing. Part of it often that's my answer, is like, stop changing everything and you can get better. You can make slow changes in time, and like, you have to see where you're going before you can turn the wheel. Bringing Wheatley on actually, to me, makes sense. I just can't believe they got him. I'm telling you, they must have thrown the bag at him. So yeah, it was a good weekend. We have still just this weird hitch in our giddy up with quality. Like, the racing is excellent, quality is booty. That's kind of how I'm summing up Formula One so far. Unfortunately, it's the least important thing in the world that we're canceling these 2 Formula One races because of the conflict in the Middle East. T's and P's with everybody who's impacted by that. That's a very, very serious thing. And Formula One, any activity like this, any sport, has to come second or third or fourth or fifth or 10th, right? It should not be a thing. I am really bummed we're going to miss Bahrain. I love Bahrain, and low key, I love the Jeddah Corniche circuit. I know it's dangerous. It scares me, but gosh, it's cool. It is really, really cool. I love that track. Silverstone is the best racetrack in the world for Formula One. It's not close. It's off on an island by itself. It's the Silverstone Island. It's the best racetrack that's ever been made. And as far as I'm concerned, if billionaires want to have a Formula One race, they should buy a plot of land, copy what Silverstone is, and put the exact replica. Just steal it. Steal the whole idea and go, it's just a Silverstone East or whatever. Call it whatever you want. It's the best racetrack. So I say all that to say it's off on its own. After that, I really like COTA. I like Miami. I'm close. It's my home. It's easy for me to like Miami. I think if you go, you'll like Miami too, but it's easy to make fun of, especially when you're not here. I love the old A1 ring, Austria, the Rebel Ring. I love that race. It puts up great races. Obviously, you have Sao Paulo. That's amazing. Amazing track, right? But Saudi Arabia, Jeddah Corniche, that was supposed to be like a temporary thing. And it's exciting. And we'll see these regs, maybe it won't be. Right? Maybe it won't be. Who knows? But it's been really cool so far. So it's a little unfortunate that we're not going to be able to race there, but completely understandable why FOM made the decision they did to not go. You had Behrman P5, you had Gasly P6, Liam P7, great racing from them. Hadjar P8, which, like, his car didn't blow up, so that's about as good as I think the Rebel has issues. It has problems, and China, the circuit really brought that out. Carlos Sainz raced out of his mind. P9, and Franco finished out the top 10. Again, he is a really, really good race car driver. Hulk was 11. Lindblad, tough day at the office. He's P12. Valtteri Bottas in the caddy was P13. Esteban Ocon was behind him, and then the other caddy P15, and then everybody else after that didn't finish. So we had 15 cars finish the race. We had 1, 2, 3 that didn't start, and we have 1, 2, 3 that didn't finish. So a total of 6 cars didn't make it through the Sunday. So anyway, Chinese Grand Prix was great. F1's great. There's always cool stuff going on. I don't know. I'm kind of in a weird way just doing this show. Like, it's the first time I've ever done race reviews or any kind of Formula One content. So we'll see what the next couple weeks look like. I'm hoping that I could just fire the camera up and produce some content, work on how to make a thumbnail or how to title a video on YouTube. I'm a complete moron, so I'm figuring that out. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. For those of you who did, if you stayed this long, genuinely, thank you. You're my best friend. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.